So my name is Raja Balaji. Let's just quickly go through the introduction slides. So I'm a solution architect for the IBM set of collaboration products, and I've been working on connections since the version 2.0.1. Now it's 6, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. And I've played various roles involving architecting solutions, building solutions, developing it, and then administration and also support. And that's a brief introduction about me, and hand it over to Sam for his introduction.
Sure. Thank you, Balaji. I'm Sam David. I'm working with Maarga Systems as Associate Consultant End-User Adoption. I was previously working with IBM. I was taking care of a few communities there in IBM. Now I'm taking care of adoption for a few of our customers. So that's a quick introduction about myself.
Thank you, Sam. So let's just, this is a brief introduction about our company, Maarga Systems. As you can see, the name Maarga literally means Pathfinder. And we are one of the leading enterprises in the space of business collaboration from as early as 2002. And we have offices in India, US, and we also have customers in North America, Europe, Middle East, and also Asia Pacific. So we are experts in including web technologies, X pages, mobility, and also the workflow automation, and also the Lotus Notes application development support. And we also have a digital practice, and when we say mobility, we also have hands-on expertise in modernizing the Lotus Notes applications and so on. So, and we are also premium IBM business partners. So that's a brief introduction about the company. And here is what we have for today. We are going to talk about what's new in IBM Connections 6, and we're going to talk a brief introduction about the deployment and configuration, and the most talked about feature of Connections 6, which is Orient Me, and the modern communities, and then the enhanced file features that we have. And IBM has integrated Touchpoint with this version of Connections 6, which will be spoken about in the section New User Onboarding. And last but not least, Connections Ping, which will be the next version. And with that, we land on a quick poll. Scott?
Okay, our first poll is up and ready for you to respond to. Which version of Connections are you currently on? Are you still on 5.0, 5.5, 6.0, Connections Cloud, or not using Connections yet? All right, we're up to 85% of the attendees have voted, over 90%. Everybody is wide awake and ready to go. So thank you everyone for participating. I'm going to share the results. So we have 27% are still on 5.0 or earlier, 19% on 5.5, 4% of us have already migrated to 6.0, 31% in the cloud, and 19% of us have not started Connections use yet. All right, brilliant. Thank you very much.
So great, and thanks for everyone who voted for it. And this webinar is going to be equally beneficial for people following on all of these categories, I would say. So here is what's new in IBM Connections 6. So the first one, as we said, the most talked about feature, Orient Me, right? So we have slides detailing the features that we have, and also the advantages, and also the use cases that we have picked. And the next one is enhanced onboarding. As we said, IBM has chosen to integrate Touchpoint with this version of Connections, and that takes care of a lot of things that Sam will describe in detail to you. And then the modern communities and the files. So files has a few interesting features that we will again see in detail in the slides that are coming forward. So the first one that we will talk about is the deployment and configuration. So for anybody who does not have Connections, the 19% of the users that we that have just voted, for them to come on Connections 6.0 directly, it's fairly easy. So it's fairly similar to other existing installations that we have. So when we talk about this Connections 6 package, we should keep in mind that we are excluding all the other optional components like Orient Me, Cognos, Touchpoint. All of these things are optional solutions. Like we can use if we opt for it. And for customers like who are on version 5 or 5.5, upgrade applies to them. And one of the things that we have been hearing from IBM is there is no in-place upgrade that is supported from the version 5.5. So we have to uninstall the existing version of connections that you have and then reinstall it. And by doing so, like, we also have the freedom of changing the architecture, the deployment architecture, the way we want, right? So connections comes with small, medium, and large deployments according to the level of scale that you expect, according to the user count that you expect on a peak load time. And when we talk about the in-place upgrade of the data or the database, this is perfectly supported. There are no issues with it. So there are fairly written scripts that ships with every version of connection that upgrades all your data and the database to the newest level that you're upgrading to. And there are no issues with it that we have seen in terms of the way that it upgrades. But then we did note that there was a specific issue with the database wizard, especially with the version that is shipped with connection 6.0. And for that, we recommend to do the manual database update instead of the database wizard that comes with it. So in the manual database update, what we basically do is we take all the SQL scripts that the wizard would run otherwise automatically in its own sequence. We would take all the SQL scripts and we would execute it manually. And this also gives us a fair level of confidence by the logs it throws, and we can have the complete hand on the way it proceeds, the update proceeds. And this version of connections, on the day it was rolled out, we also had day one fixes for eFox, editor, and also a couple of things, community updates and so on. And for anybody who has updated, already upgraded to connection 6, they should definitely check if they have installed the day one fixes. If not, it may not be a big issue, but then, like, we should definitely get on with it, because so that we are prepared. We are also prepared for the subsequent fixes. And I'm sure, like, people who are using connection 6.0 has already seen some of the UI alignment mismanagements and so on. So that's about the deployment and configuration and the list of apps. So this is what an administrator would see in the VAS console after connection 6 is deployed. If you're already on 5.5, most of the things that you see here is pretty much familiar to you, except the storage proxy application that we have. This application has a specific purpose of linking your files. In the version 6.0, it is renamed to My Drive because it also comes bundled with certain other features that we'll talk about in the slides following. And it allows you to, it gives you an option to use the Connections Cloud Object Storage if you wish. This could save a lot of storage space in the organization for you. And then comes the Orient Me, and I hand it over to Sam.
Sure. Thank you, Balaji. Right, now let's talk about Orient Me. IBM has redesigned the homepage of Connections, and they have named it Orient Me. It is a containerized, API-driven architecture that brings the most relevant information for the user to engage with. And it replaces the traditional newsfeed in Connections. In the earlier versions of Connections, the newsfeed provides updates from your network contacts, communities, and from all the apps that you follow in a reverse chronological order, which means the latest update will always be displayed at the top of the page. And as you scroll down, you would find the older updates. Even if they are quite important to you, you need to scroll down the page and you need to find that information. And finding information in the news stream could be challenging, especially if you are part of a huge network or if you're a member of quite a few active communities. In Connection 6, if you opt to go for Orient Me, you will be able to find relevant information much easier as Connections knows you better. So if you're an IBM Verse user, you probably would know about the Important to Me bar at the top of the page. And Orient Me also has this feature, as you can see in the slide here. You'll be able to add people you regularly interact with and also add communities to this list. And besides As Connection knows you better by looking at your user behavior, it would provide you recommendations based on people you communicate with. You can also edit and modify the recommendations furthermore to see updates that is really meaningful for you. As you start using Connections more and more, the system understands you better and it will provide you better recommendations. The updates in Orient Me are often stacked together in groups, either by person or by community or by content. For instance, if there are multiple updates from the same person, all those updates are grouped together in a single card, and you would be able to flip through these updates one by one without scrolling down further to find related information. This also means that the newsfeed is decluttered efficiently, and you will not anymore see the annoying repeated updates that are quite similar. And the notification center will also be available everywhere in Connections, and you would be able to click on the notifications that you get, and you will also be able to take action on it if required. This would help you to be informed of the important things that require your attention from any app inside Connections. So now moving along to the next slide. Here, using the important to me bar that runs across the top of the page, you will be able to filter the information by a person or a community. When you click on a person or a community, you would see the latest updates only from that person or from that particular community. So you can easily find what the person is up to on Connections, or if they have posted something that you might be really interested in. Similarly, you can click on a community name and you would be able to see the latest updates from the community even without entering the community right on the home page. So you don't need to really go into a particular community to see all the updates if you have Orient Me installed. Now Balaji, would you like to talk to us about the component architecture?
Yeah, sure. So for all the beautiful features that Sam has just laid out, it takes a bit more effort to get the complete system installed because it also takes a huge learning curve. We will see all about it in the slides that are coming forth. So this is the architecture of Orient Me if you wish to deploy it in your enterprise. So this is pretty different from the standard set of architectures that you would see with Connections, which goes with IBM WebSphere application server and the relational database like DB2 or SQL and so on. So here what you see is more like a distributed system architecture, or people that are familiar with any other analytics products would also find some kind of similarities with the architecture that they see here now. So this involves like 3 nodes for the minimum, and you can expand it based on the load that you expect, and also the high availability that you would want to have. So the boot node majorly orchestrates all the installation and configuration, and also the updates that needs to be made for the hybrid cloud that gets deployed through this. One of the products is IBM Spectrum container that goes in along with it, and also a stack of other open source products like Apache Zookeeper and so on. So the installation, configuration, and all the other activities happens from the boot node. So in any architecture you could also use the other high availability architecture that you are just seeing right here, right? People that are using multiple work nodes, you could also be using multiple proxy nodes that transmit external requests to services, to other services, and so on. So you can expand as you wish here, and it's mostly containerized, and it comes with the document-oriented storage. This Orient Me works with it, and also it is also Docker-based and so on. So when we look at the way that we would deploy this particular product, there are like 5 critical installation prerequisites that we see here. So as we spoke about, it requires 3 nodes to deploy, and when you pick a server for Orient Me, you have to make sure that it does not have any key-based authentication like you would get with AWS or Software or any other cloud provider. So we need to make sure of that. So even if it is going to be key-based, we can go and perform certain configurations to change it back to the password-based authentication and so on. And Orient Me can be deployed on servers that runs CentOS or Red Hat. Both needs to be on the latest version. And unfortunately, if you go over the cloud deployments, both on software as well as on AWS, we don't have the latest version of the operating system of CentOS. So you can get the version 7 or something, and then you can perform an update to get to the latest version, and your administrator should be able to do it for you. And one of the other important consideration is to ensure that the processor frequency is greater than 2.5 gigahertz. If it is any lesser than 2.5 gigahertz, the installation would fail halfway through. So just ensure that from the configurations or from the cloud providers from whom you will be getting this instance, just ensure that the processor speed is greater than 2.5 gigahertz and disable any firewall. Since there are a lot of moving parts that goes in for this Orient Me piece to be installed, so let's just make sure that the installation goes as smooth as possible. So let's keep all the firewalls down. That ensures that all the ports are open. So we talked about the open source software stack, right? That goes in as part of the Orient Me piece. So the first one is Apache Zookeeper. So Apache Zookeeper is a distributed coordination solution that's again open source that we talked about, and this Docker based. So being a Docker-oriented solution, like it completely eliminates the need to have multiple versions of operating systems running or multiple versions of multiple environments hosting different libraries for each individual applications to perform. And then Redis that we see, the MongoDB. So it's again a document-oriented storage, and it's been much spoken about as part of the mean stack and things. And the name Solar would ring you a bell if you have used IBM Cloud Commerce. So this is an indexing solution. And again, the last one is Kubernetes, which performs the again that we spoke about the whenever it comes to the distributed architecture, deployment and scaling and other operations related to the application containers or the clusters. So all of those things are orchestrated at this layer. And with that, we would see a sample use case for Orient Me or also the community. So I hand it over back to Sam.
Sure. Thank you, Balaji. Right. Now, this is quite interesting. Let's take a fictional but common use case here. We are going to talk about an account community that has thousands of members, and also several projects are part of this community. Top account leaders write blogs here often. Key presentations, other files are being uploaded. Wikis are updated frequently. Forum discussions happen frequently here. So there's an abundance of updates in the community made every day, and members often miss the updates as they are not able to find the updates quite easily in the news feed or in the recent updates of the community. So therefore, the community owners set up a communication specialist. The communication specialist now would go through the community every week to find key relevant information for the team members, and he would put the information together into a newsletter and he would send it across to the members of the community. But now in Connection 6, the role of the communication specialist becomes obsolete. Now every member can just click on the community icon at the important to me bar to see the latest updates that are relevant to them. Moreover, since the user behavior would be different from person to person, the list of updates will also change according to the user. The newsletter that was sent earlier by the communication specialist was quite static and also takes so much of manual efforts to create. Comparatively, Orient Me does a far better job as it provides dynamic updates that requires zero manpower. So now let's move on to the next section of this presentation. We'll talk about modern communities. The new look and feel of community is quite modern, and also the whole screen space is utilized for content updates. Moreover, there is more flexibility for the community owners to customize the community homepage. They can now make use of the rich text app for creating web-like, modern-looking landing page. If a community owner wants to replicate the structure and design of a community for a new community, he can do it by just copying an existing community while he creates a new community. As I said before, you'll be able to customize the homepage of a community very easily by making use of the rich text app that supports HTML and CSS. In the earlier version, there was not much of support for CSS, and with limited capabilities, community owners had to rely upon the community description to create navigational structures and also to give a professional look to the communities. But with Connections 6, Rich Text app provides a lot of options to be able to incorporate professional looking modern web designs into any community. Now let me quickly move to the next slide. When you start a new community, you are provided with an option to copy existing structure. Then you can search for a community that you would like to replicate, and then when you select it, you would be able to create a new community just like this one. The new community that you create this way will not export the content or the members. Only the apps and the homepage layout and also the design will be copied. The app labels will also be copied. You might already know that you can rename your apps in Connections 5.5. When you copy the structure of a community into a new one, the labels that you have customized according to the community's needs, or they also get copied, and you can choose to change it in the new community if you want to. The community of the the content of the rich text app will also be copied into the new community, and it can also be edited again to suit the requirements of the new community. In the previous versions, community owners had to create a community from the scratch, and they had to add the apps into it and then work on the layouts as well. This feature would be certainly a boon for community owners, especially if they would like to create communities that look alike, aligning to the design standards of the organization. Now, I'd like to hand it over back to Balaji for Enhanced File.
Yeah. So, as you can clearly see from the user interface, my files is renamed to my drive. So, it is not just the renaming part which is an update to it. There are also features that have been changed on this particular thing. So we all are, I think, people who use Connections must be aware about the file sync that we are talking about. So like whenever any file that gets uploaded to a community or my files, I can choose those files to be synchronized to whatever files that I select. I'm talking about the previous version, not with 6.6.0. We'll come back to the difference. So any files that we choose, those files can be synchronized to our mobile device, or also to the desktop across all the other devices. Any updates that are performed also get synchronized to that. So, but then the folder level synchronization hasn't been happening. So, which is a pain, because I have to choose the individual files that has to be synchronized to the devices, and then only those files will get synchronized, but not the community level files and so on. But with the version 6.0, there are no restrictions of anything of that sort around synchronization. Any file that you upload, be it your own personal file or files that are into a community or files that others may share it with you, or files that others may upload to a specific community, you can choose to have all of them in your connectors or the mobile application. So that's a very huge difference. And when Sam explains this use case scenario, I think you would feel the complete advantage of this particular feature offers.
Right. Here we have again a fictional use case. Here the worldwide sales team, the team members of the sales team, they work from different locations around the globe. Now the sales manager has to travel to the client location to present a few slides to the client. Now before he leaves, he creates a folder in My Drive and Connections, and then he provides access to his team members to this particular folder. And now, when he is traveling, all the team members, they start working on the presentations that he needs to present at the client's place. They work on the presentation, they build the presentation. When the final presentation is available, they just upload it into Connections My Drive, into the folder that the sales manager had created. Now, all the files that are uploaded there will be now available in the desktop device of the sales manager when he is back again online. So it's quite simple. I mean, it simplifies the work. The team members, they don't need to send them mails, copying everyone else. Everything is put together in one central place, and also because of synchronization, it is very much easier for the sales manager to have the local copy of the file directly into his desktop device. So now let's talk about enhanced onboarding. This is nothing but the touchpoint tool that you might have heard before. The touchpoint tool helps drive an organization to drive adoption by welcoming new users, as new users are guided through a few easy steps to capture their information. Their profile is updated as they enter into Connections for the first time. They are provided some suggestions of people and communities that they can follow, and we also have guided tours that would show them how a particular feature in Connections would work. Here are a few steps that you can see here. People will be able to update their profile photographs. They can add tags or keywords to their profile as they proceed with the initial steps. And also they can follow colleagues, and also they can follow some of the communities that is suggested by Connections. The cognitive element of Connections again would provide appropriate recommendations based on the user profile, and it would provide the suggestions to the new user. And new users can, again, they can exit the initial setup at any point, and they can come back later to complete these initial steps. And they also are provided, the new users are provided with guided tours. They are provided with such overlays on Connections when they use a particular app for the first time. They are shown how to use a particular app, what are the new features that are available, and so on. So using the guided tour, a new user would be able to have a comprehensive understanding of a particular tool in Connections very easily. And now it's time for the second poll. Scott?
All right. So after going over these new features, which of these features is most relevant for the use cases at your organization? So you can select more than one. And let's see which of these new features has the biggest appeal. All right, half of us have voted already. Give us about 5 more seconds here. We'll get everybody's input here. All right, I'm going to share the results. So Orient Me and Modern Communities top the list, followed by Better Than Ever Files of 54%, Enhanced Onboarding 33%. So 58% on the Orient Me and Modern Communities. So great.
Great. Thanks for the poll and all those who voted for it. So the final slide, or maybe the final slide talking about the product, which is Connections Ping. I think most of us would have heard that the Connections Ping is the future of Connections, and IBM has put in like 10 years of research into this particular product, and it's being talked about a lot. And one of the critical features, as we see with the Connections 6.0, is Orient Me, right? So the Connections Pink also falls in some sort of a similar architecture. So it's going to be completely on vStack, and it's going to be a complete code rewrite. It's not going to be anything similar to what we have seen. And the biggest advantage it offers is, since it's going to be Docker-based and container-based, we don't have to wait for the fixed patch or the CRs. Suppose if there is a security patch, suppose if there is any UI fixes that needs to be rolled out because it behaves differently in a particular browser, any other glitches with respect to the product also, there is no way. So whenever IBM fixes it, we would have it first. But that's only an option. Like in case if you're used to having rolled out features bundled together, like getting a particular change management window, you could do that as well. So that's all about the live code stream that we just talked about. And then it is next gen hybrid, and IBM clearly says that it's the only perfectly made next gen hybrid platform in the sense that even if you go for an on-premise Connections Pink solution, you can choose to use cloud storage for a particular feature. For example, in your company, if the most used feature is activities or communities, let's say, you can choose to store that in the cloud. And the reverse is also possible. If you go for Connections Cloud, running Connections Pink, and you feel that Wiki stores a lot of, or community stores a lot of sensitive data, you can choose to store just that on your premise. So both the options are possible, which is clearly the best solution for people that are very, very sensitive about the data. Some people may even not wish to go, take their data outside, let's say, a particular region. So this particular feature is clearly a boon for all of them. And all right, so we are nearing towards the end of the presentation. So you guys can also have your questions ready. And this is more about what Maarga can do. So we have spoken about the product, and we have also spoken about the sample use case scenarios that we see. How people can leverage the product and so on, and some of the issues and some of the issues that we have encountered and we don't want you to encounter. So we have spoken about all of those things as part of the Orient Me slides and also the deployment methodologies and so on. So this is more of what Maarga can do about whatever that we have spoken. So we can deploy connections for you, for people like who do not have the product, and we can help you upgrade it to the latest version. And we can customize it to a great extent. And we've even dealt with very huge customizations in a way that the product would no longer look like Connections, but a totally different platform. So such level of customization is also possible. And if we have the there are often scenarios where people would want to integrate other products and other solutions into Connections, so we can stitch it together, and we can also build our own applications on top of Connections, and we can build such catalogs and so on. And we also have adoption services, so which is clearly an issue with every single product that we see, not just with Connections, where if a company goes for a particular product, it could be a Connections, Office 365, and it could be anything. Users do not have a clear vision as to the way that they have to approach the product. So because of that, they cannot leverage the product the best, right? There may be if we align the users with other hand-holding sessions, lunch and learn. So this comes as part of the proprietary adoption framework that we have. So this is another service that we offer as part of this. And then support. So we have spoken about, right, the regular patches and other things that needs to go on with respect to the infrastructure and things. So we have services around that as well. And as part of the adoption, we just spoke about our proprietary adoption framework, which is what you see on your screens right now. And Sam can explain that to you in further more detail.
Sure. This is a customizable adoption framework that we have designed for any social product. So if you use Connections, you might know that adoption is quite a pain point for us because of lack of penetration. It doesn't the usage is much low within organizations, and To resolve that, we have come up with a framework that can be customized according to a particular organization's need, and we can run this, we can implement this, the framework within an organization, and we would be able to improve the adoption by more than 50 or 60%. So that is a quick overview about the adoption framework. Now it's time for questions. Scott, let us know if there are any questions so far.
Scott?
Okay, thank you. So I'm just bringing up the queue, and there are no questions yet, so our audience is just a little bit shy today. So if you do have a question, go ahead and please take this time and for Balaji and Sam to respond. So here is a first question coming in. Thank you very much, David. When do we expect Connection 6 to come to the cloud?
So Connection 6 would be on cloud by the month of July. That's what we've heard from IBM. So if the schedule changes, I think we would probably know it, and that's what we've heard from IBM. So by July we can expect the features to be rolled out, and Orient Me is a bit doubtful, but we can be positive about other features on cloud.
Okay, perfect. Next question, if I'm running version 4.5 CR4, do I need to do a reinstall?
Which version did you say, Scott? Version 4.5?
4.5, correct.
Right. So we do not have to do a complete reinstallation depending on the kind of architecture you have chosen, and also the product levels that you are running. And if it is a small deployment, then we would definitely have to completely uninstall things and then set it up to the node level. And but otherwise, we can set up the product, and it would create a few different clusters, because 4.5 is pretty old, and between 4.5 to 5.5 itself a great level of changes that have gone into it, like with push notifications and other things. So from the version 5.5, a new cluster called push cluster would get created, and so 6.0 is having some sort of a similar architecture from the architecture perspective, similar to the 5.5's architecture. So we don't have to do a complete reinstallation. So we just have to do the in-place upgrade method that we just spoken about. So we have to just uninstall the connections level, and then install the other products, and then upgrade the databases and so on.
Okay, perfect. So in some cases, is it an advisable step to set up a new VMware box and then just migrate the data?
Not necessarily, because the in-place data upgrade is completely possible because connection ships with the scripts and things. But the method that you're talking about is the side-by-side upgrade, and that is always possible. If we have to ensure that if the customer is in a situation where he cannot offer much downtime and he wants the product to go live in a specific date, so we can cut over from this version, from this instance running 4.5 to the latest version as smooth as possible with just a DNS entry change. If the customer prefers it, then the side-by-side upgrade is advisable.
Okay, perfect. Next question, what usage statistics are available in terms of knowing which communities are being used and who is using them?
There is a great deal of statistics that Cognos offers in terms of the way the community is being used, but not really specific to who is using them. But such reports are always customizable, and we offer such kinds of services too. And we can do reports at different levels. We can host a different application that would offer reports to some specific role players, or maybe we can also configure the email digests to be sent to certain role players with the statistics and so on. So such kind of customization is also possible, and also with the deployment of Cognos, a great level of reporting is possible. We will have numbers for a lot of things, like how many files are uploaded, how many, how much of, how many blog entries are being written, and how many communities are created, and a lot of them,
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. All right. So this is, I guess, a last call for questions. If you've got something on your mind, this is time to do it. Also, I believe LG and Sam, you'll put up a slide for them how to contact you here in just a moment. So if they come up with questions afterwards, they will be able to contact you. And if not, we'll put that in the follow-up email, if it's not on the next slide there, to everyone with the link to the recording. So
Great.
it looks like we're done with questions at this time.
So as you said, Scott, like if people have any questions, they can write a simple email to sales@maargasystems.com. And they can also reach us directly at this email ID or the Twitter handle that they see right on the screen at this point of time. And we can take our questions, and as you said, the video, the recorded video and also the presentation will also be available online, and that's the way forward.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Balaji and Sam, for preparing this, and it's kind of exciting to see this new version out with the new features. Appreciate all of the work that you've done to have this ready for everyone. And again, thank you to the audience for preparing their time and taking time out of their schedule. Again, so Balaji and Sam, the last word to you, and then we'll end the webinar.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Scott, for arranging this webinar, and also thank you all of us who has joined this webinar and listened to us patiently. So as Scott said, we will be glad to answer any questions that you may have, in the email that is flashing on the screen. And for people like who have not upgraded to, who have never used Connections, those 90% of the users, it's highly advisable that they get on to this particular version, Connections 6.0. And all the other users too that are running 5.0 and 5.5, because one of the constraints that we see here is if they don't upgrade to 6.0, they wouldn't be able to enjoy Connections Pink, because that's how it's written. It's completely the architecture is changing completely. So the constraint is anybody who wants to use Connections Pink must get on to Connections 6.0. That's from me. Sam, do you have anything to share?
Nothing else. Thank you so much, Scott, for arranging this webinar, and thank you everyone for participating. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Tom.
All right, thank you again to everyone. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you at the next webinar.